I used to be one of the skinniest guys in my school. I used to get picked on for being so small, and it used to get me down, just like it probably does you if you've clicked on this video. But since then, I've gained over 70 pounds, competed in and won multiple bodybuilding shows, and I've made pretty much every mistake you can imagine. So now in this video, I'm gonna break down the mistakes that I made so you don't have to. So here are the 5 mistakes that I made and I see commonly made by other people when trying to build muscle. So a little bit of context. Back when I first started training, I was a skinny teenager, just trying to put on muscle, trying to get jacked. I remember it wasn't a case of I wasn't putting the effort in. I was definitely putting the effort in. I was working what I thought was hard, but I just had no real structure, no real consistency, and I was just chasing my tail for years and years, getting frustrated and just not really seeing any progress. Now, over the years of actually building some muscle, building a physique I could be proud of, and helping hundreds of individuals do the same thing, I've come to realize there are some very common mistakes that everyone seems to be making. So I'm gonna talk to you about those now in this video so you don't have to make them mistakes. I promise you guys, if you fix these things, your progress is gonna absolutely fly. So let's break it down. Number 1, and that is chasing a pump, right? We've all done it, I used to do it. So many people go into the gym, they're chasing a pump because it feels good, they're new to training, they're trying to get the biggest pump possible. I remember I used to train my chest and I would do like 5 exercises on chest, 5 sets, 25 sets in one session. I would get the biggest, craziest pump and I thought, yeah, this is good. But it never changed. I always used to go in the gym, just get the same pump week after week after week and never actually see any development through my chest. The reason being is because what does our body actually need to grow? Not a pump, it needs a progressive overload, right? And what I mean by that is it needs a progressive stimulus. Our bodies, our skeletal muscle is adaptive to response, it's adaptive to stimuli. If we're just going to the gym and getting the same pump, lifting the same loads, we're not actually giving the body anything to adapt to. We need to create that adaptation. So therefore, if I could go back, one thing I would definitely do is get myself a logbook straight away and start logging lifts. Yes, you might feel a little bit stupid, the guy sat there with a logbook, but I can honestly tell you guys, if you do this and start logging your lifts, tracking everything you're doing, tracking every set, tracking every workout, and then aiming to progress those lifts every time you step foot in the gym, your progress is gonna fly. Mistake number 2, and that is food, right? You knew food was gonna come in there at some point. Majority of people aren't eating enough. When they think they're eating a lot, guys, I used to think I was eating a lot. I was putting the food away. I just can't gain any muscle. I'm a hard gainer. And it wasn't until I actually started tracking what I was eating, I realized I was massively under eating. So many people underestimate how much they actually need in order to grow. And yeah, you might have a fast metabolism, you might have an active job, you might be in a position where you do need to consume more calories than someone else. However, if you're not tracking your overall caloric intake, you're just pissing in the wind. It's impossible to actually modulate what you need, okay? So what I would do if I could go back is I would start tracking my body weight straight away, even just once per week, and correlate that with your calorie intake, right? So if you're consuming 2,500 calories and your body weight is staying the same, you know that that is your maintenance or there or thereabouts. So to create a surplus, all you need to do, guys, is just add 200, 300 calories. See where that takes you. You might still be sitting at maintenance, so you might need to add a little bit more food, but you will find that surplus. You will not be an anomaly to science. I've not once had a client work with me who we've not been able to actually take them into some form of a caloric surplus. And it might take a few attempts of increasing food, but eventually your net calories will sit somewhere comfortably where you're just in a small surplus. And we're aiming for around about £1 per week rate of gain. And that's just a rough benchmark. The thing with nutrition, it has to be continually monitored. So if you're finding that you found a surplus and your body weight's creeping on nicely, okay, and then you start to reach a little bit of a plateau, what happens here essentially is as your body is increasing its energy requirements, right? So as you're getting stronger in the gym, as you're adding more muscle mass, your body then needs more food, more energy to feed that higher amount of muscle mass, that higher energy output that you're then putting in the gym. So then you need to taper your food up further. What once was a surplus will slowly become your new maintenance, and then you need to add more food. So what I would certainly do if I could go back is I would start tracking my food straight away alongside body weight and tapering this up as I needed to make sure I'm in that calorie surplus. Number 3, execution, okay? And if you've followed along for a while, you know I'm a big one on this, guys. One thing that I really didn't focus on in the early years of training was actually connecting with the muscle. And this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that I see people make. And it's just focused on trying to get strong, right? There's no point getting strong if it's coming at the sacrifice of your execution. Now, the most important thing in your early stages of training, and something I'll take all my clients through, is actually learning how to train a muscle. If you're trying to grow your chest, okay, it's important that you can feel your chest in a chest press. You can feel your chest in a fly, picking movements that you can connect well with. There might be some of these more advanced movements, which are, you know, multi-plane movements, which are very skilled. They might be a little bit more difficult and intricate, and you might want to leave some of those movements to a little bit later on. They might look cool, they they might look fun, but at the moment, if you haven't mastered the ability of being able to accurately contract muscle tissue, you're gonna really struggle to grow. And I think a lot of people solely focus on getting strong without the execution element, right? And they're swinging load, they're using too much momentum, they're almost using synergistic muscle to aid the actual muscle that we're trying to work. Guys, one of your biggest tools in your toolbox as someone trying to build muscle is going to be your ability to lock in to the target muscle that you're trying to work and overload that over time, okay? If we're trying to train a muscle and give it that tension overload, we need to be able to give it that application of tension in the first place. So something that's really, really important, guys, and I would have focused on more if I could go back, and what I really, really urge you to focus on is get stronger, but really learn your execution and how to really target muscle, and don't allow this to sacrifice as you progress load. Okay, that has to be a non-negotiable. And number 4, and this is a big one for me, and essentially, for no better way of wording it, I would avoid training hard from Monday to Thursday and then pissing it all out the wall on a weekend. I would be on it from Monday to Thursday, you know, like those were the days I was fully dialed in, and then it got to Friday night and I would just piss it all up the wall. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have flexibility. Anyone who works with me or has worked with me knows I'm a massive advocate for flexibility, right? Being able to go out at the weekends, enjoy having an off-plan meal, going out for the drink on the odd occasion. We don't have to avoid all of the things that we enjoy if we're trying to build a rig, but we need to get the balance right. Okay, if you're going out every Friday, Saturday night, having a few drinks, eating off plan, it's probably going to hinder your progress, right? If you're nailing everything week on week and then maybe one weekend out of the month you're going out and like letting your hair down, having a few drinks and whatnot, that's probably not going to set you back too much. You know, if you're having an off-plan meal once per week, but you're nailing your nutrition the rest of the time, it's probably not going to set you back too much. So it's just about getting that balance right. And for me personally, I went through a big period of my life in my early years where the balance wasn't right. So if I could go back, I would have definitely sort of just sorted the ratio out a little bit. So those nights out, those evenings out, or the off-plan food was maybe tapered back a little bit, even just to a couple of times per month. Now, the final point, guys, and this one really just kind of like encapsulates them all, and that is committing to it for long enough, right? And it's so important to understand that you're not going to make this progress overnight. It doesn't matter if you're applying all of those first 4 points. If you're not applying them for long enough and you're not actually committing to a phase, you're going to get very little in return. The thing that I see most people struggling with is actually being able to commit to the long haul when it comes to building a physique, okay? Unless you're really genetically advanced, no one just blows up overnight. It takes time. So you need to do these things and get used to being able to do them with little reward in return. If you're trying to get instant gratification, take up a new hobby, because building muscle, bodybuilding, whatever you want to call it, you're not going to get instant gratification. It takes time. It takes years to build a physique, right? If you're in a fat loss phase and you're dieting and you lose a kilo, you might see those changes visually, right? If you're in a gaining phase and you're trying to build muscle and you gain a kilo, you're not necessarily going to see the muscle that's been added, because it takes a lot longer than that to showcase itself on your physique. But what I would say, in order to keep you motivated, is take progress pictures, right? And compare them 3 months apart, 6 months apart, 9 months apart. Compare them when you push your way up and pull yourself back down again, and look at the same weight comparisons, and you should have more muscle and less body fat. And this is why it's so important to take pictures on a week-to-week basis. But most importantly, guys, if you're going into a gaining phase, getting a little bit bored, feeling a little bit soft and pulling back down after a couple of months, don't expect to see big changes to the physiques. The most productive gaining phases that I've overlooked with my clients and with myself is where I've committed to that phase for 9 months, 12 months, sometimes even upwards of 18 months. So guys, if you're finding this content useful, make sure to drop us a subscribe, and also head on over to the Instagram channel, which I will link in the bio below, and drop us a follow, because we're always churning out educational content. And guys, just to kind of like round up everything, and it's not really a point, but more of just a mindset shift that I want you to really try and apply, and I wish I did in my earlier phases of training. That is, try and see yourself as where you want to be, right? And enjoy the process of building muscle. So many people, and I think with social media these days, it's so easy to compare yourself to everyone else. Like, you could be really happy with your progress, and I've had it with clients before where they're happy with their progress, they're growing, they're feeling tighter in their t-shirts, and then they compare themselves to a load of other people, and all of a sudden it just steals their joy. I think it's really, really important just to focus on your journey, if you like, and just focus on the process, and not so much chasing like the visual change, because that will come, but fall in love with the process of weighing your meals out, training hard, pushing your body in the gym, fall in love with the feeling of being an athlete and executing everything like an athlete. And honestly guys, the physique will follow as a byproduct of that mindset shift. So I really think that's something that's important as well. So that's it guys. Those are my 5 mistakes that I definitely made in their entirety throughout my early years of trying to get jacked. But like I said, in that time, I have built a fairly decent amount of muscle. I'm not the biggest dude out there, but I'm very happy with the physique that I've built. And coming from where I was, I'm even more happy. So these are the things that work for me. Apply them. Guys, as always, if anyone has any questions or anything they need help with, please do make sure just to drop them in the comment box below. If you like the content, guys, drop us a subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.